Hello there, you're listening to Zolimuli's Thoughts and Knots podcast, where I talk about the things that interest me or things that bothers me, but most of the time things that I do not have the courage to speak out loud in real life, because in real life I'm very quiet, and also I do not know how to open up to human beings. When I say human beings, it doesn't matter who you are, friends, family, auntie, uncle, who else? Siblings, parents, any human beings, because I have a hard time opening up. But I don't know why, not really whenever, but it's different when I talk in front of camera or record it in a podcast form, because I have the liberty to just say anything without having to feel like, crap, I have to be more considerate with people. I mean, also, it's irony that since I'm putting up podcasts, then I do also have to be considerate to the ones who are listening. Am I right? But yeah. So anyways, how is life? Everyone, how's life, everyone? I hope you're doing great, is what I always say. But if you're not doing great, I feel ya. I mean, rather than I'm not feeling that great, it's just that, okay, life just goes on no matter what you feel. If it's as if it's numbing to have bad things to happen, but at the same time, not everything is always. Not every bad thing keeps on happening. It's just that we always have expectations for good things to happen always, but at the same time, that is impossible. Your happiness is defined by the struggles that you can sustain, is what I read from a book. Self-help book, yeah. So, I did not realize that, the challenge thingy-majiggle, the 7 day 7 episode, I was keep on doing, and then without me realizing, it's already the final day, the 7th day already. Yay! So I'm cool. Now what? And then I think it's cool because I have this plan to make 5 episodes next week, and then the week after, after this challenge that I've been doing for myself for fun's sake, I'm going to release 5 episodes in a week, every week, so that at least I'm doing something. Or because I have a dream. I want to be a radio presenter, but then not really those radio where they play music and then in between you be you're the radio DJ, be yeah, well, that song was and next one is up to and yeah, enjoy. And then that's the only thing that is. I mean, it's a good job. I mean, not really it's a good job. It's just that I find, how do I say, to be considerate, people who are radio jockeys, disc jockeys, they it's not to say that it's an easy job, no, because you need to fit probably very little time to say anything you want, and then afterwards everything will be music only. And also I found this one company or radio station in Malaysia, and they have podcasts and radio talks, and I'm this is it. I have found the place that I want to work. But then it's impossible because right now, even if I do send my CV, we cannot travel across district and interstate or whatever. We cannot cross Anyway, we cannot even, because we're in lockdown. So I do hope that everything is like clear and a-okay. Everyone gets vaccinated, and then I'll send my CV, or I can just send now, and then I'll just say I'll be open after the lockdown, or when COVID is free from, like, I mean, Malaysia is free of COVID, or we can control the spread and everyone's vaccinated. So I have like that kind of plan. And also the reason why is that we can, even if I do work, I want it to work in the night shift. Since it's like a radio talk, I mean it's impossible if you're just like going into, like, for instance, you go to a radio station, you want to be a radio presenter. Hell no, they're not going to accept you when you don't have any experience being a radio presenter. You will have to work from below. And with me, I am capable of doing multimedia stuff like video editing, audio editing, graphic stuff. Yeah, but I can help that. And then I'll just slowly, gradually go into being a radio presenter. And I have this one dream that I want to have a late night radio talk where it's not really, it's very rare for Malaysia to have like a late night radio talk, and not the ones that it feels like party night. I just want to, the idea that I have is like it starts slowly. I mean, it's just to borrow from not really a quote, because one thing that I realized that most radio is like it's broadcasted for listeners. Like, oh, the audience want this, so we'll do it. However, I want to have this one radio talk segment at night, late night, probably at 12, or yeah, 12 is nice, because the concept that I have is that I want to make a radio talk, late night radio talk, where it's not made for the listener. It is broadcasted with the listeners' ideas. Like, people send in their what happened in their life or what happened in their week, and then they'll share. And then not really just I cannot give like, oh, that is right or that is wrong. Probably share that I feel the same also, because life, as much as people want to be alone and exclusive, somehow we relate more to people, is what I would say. And trust me, if I have that kind of late night radio segment, wouldn't it be nice? Is what I think. And yeah, before I go into like the weird topic that I have for this final day for this challenge, if you think that this podcast is like, hey, this is nice, I mean, do share it to anyone you know, share it to your friends, share it to your family, share it to your mom, share it to your cats, share it to your alien, share it to anyone. If you think that this podcast is like, hey, this is nice, or people who love listening to podcasts, then share it, because I'm not sure. Yeah, I have low confidence in sharing my own, but so I can only say, like, if you think that this episode seems like this is like a good episode, then share it to people who has the same thoughts, or like, hey, just share. I mean, it would be nice and it would make me happy with more people listening to this podcast. So, moving on to the main topic for this podcast. As the title says, I'll be talking about weird things that I do. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why, because I don't know. I mean, I could talk about something else. I could talk about scuba diving. I could talk about the things, yeah, the drafts that I have. Yeah, it's funny how I never choose to talk about those topics when it's like, hey, it's a really good topic. And somehow I'm talking about this weird topic entitled Weird Things That I Do. Hmm. But hey, who knows if it's a good thing? I mean, because like, when your humans are weird in a way that they, whether it in terms of whether if it's humans are weird in terms of like the way they think, or even the way they do things. And if I talk about how I think, then people won't really relate much. But when you talk about weird things that you do, I think some people, I mean, you cannot like try to make everyone relate to what you do. It's like a one in a million kind of a probability, but not really one in a million, probably one in 100. And you might share the same weird thing that you do, or just weird happenings, weird things that happen to you. I don't know what to actually name this, because it's like the title that I get, like weird happenings or weird things that I do. It actually comes from a Japanese very short short konto. What's konto? Short skit, like gag skit or comedy skit. And they tell about, in Japanese it's called aru aru. Like it's it happens, or the happenings that is happening depending on what kind of people, what kind of events or things that people can relate. So yeah, that is why I chose this weird topic. I mean, at the same time, I shouldn't be using different culture topics, because when you're when you use like different, for instance, if you talk about American stuff yet you're in Malaysia, or you talk about um, Malaysian stuff but you're doing a stand-up comedy in, probably UK or anywhere, Thailand or Indonesia, people might not be able to relate much, is what I think. Unless you take the idea of it, it would be nice, because there is no such topics being being talked or conversed around us. Like, hey, do you know this thing happened? Can you relate? Wow, I think it's just called relatable things. ah, apa dah? But yeah, going. Let's just jump into what are the weird things that I do. It may not be relatable to people, but it's just something that not only that I think it's weird, well, pretty much I also think it is weird. And if I do think it's weird, then it would be obviously, probably, possibly, definitely, people would think, Zol, you're weird. Yeah. So this is something that happens always. Two things that always happens, and I feel like, why does this keep on happening? The number one situation: went to the kitchen to get snacks, ends up washing the dishes and then cleaning the stove, and then throw out the garbage, throw out the rubbish. So why do I even think it's weird? Because I want just to take a snack, probably just find snacks and then go back into my room and then watch something or listen to radio. I always listen to like recorded radios, Japanese radio talk shows. And supposedly it takes like 3 or 2 minutes, ends up 30 minutes. And what's worse, not really what's worse lah. what's worse for me is that before after like cleaning the whole kitchen, like wash dishes, clean the stove, throw out the garbage, rubbish, whatever you call it, and then before as I go to my room, great, I have to clean the house. I have to vacuum the whole house. And that adds up another 30 minutes because another 10 minutes is me like pasang diffuser and then thinking what oil mix that I should use. But mostly it's just lemongrass and eucalyptus plus mints so that there won't be ants or semut. Ants is semut zol. Mosquitoes, lalat, and cicak. The second situation is that went to the toilet to brush my teeth, end up cleaning the whole toilet. Why? Everything that should take like 3-5 minutes always ends up me taking like a 30 minute to 1 hour before I can just doodle in my room. To a point where I think that I cannot be selfish. I do not have that idea of I want to be selfish, but at the same time, like crap, no one's doing it, so I'll just do it. And I find it annoying to myself. I annoy myself. Imagine how weird that is. Like you're as much as people hate humans, other humans, depending on what kind of human or person you are. Some people just don't like crowds because it's annoying and noisy. Imagine you yourself annoyed at yourself. How? I mean, some people can think, if you think that is relatable, I mean, it's just that part, like, not that people can relate to going to the toilet to just pee or brush teeth and end up cleaning the whole toilet. Probably not everyone can relate to that. But yeah, that is the weird thing that always happens once a week. Once a week. Because I know that if it happens every day, then I need help. And yeah, that is weird situations that I always bump into or that always happens to me. That is number one. The second category is my shopping cart. The one in Shopee, Lazada, etc. Blah blah blah. As I mentioned, I have survival kits in my shopping cart, like Swiss knife, tents, flint, etc. Survival kits. Other than that, I mean, before that, it's weird since it seems that I'm paranoid about. It makes me look like I'm just a paranoid human. But there are a lot of things, other category of things in my shopping cart, and that is tabletop board games. Now I love board games, not snakes and ladders or chess. No, not that kind of like the basic people that always play. I like games, tabletop board games that involves betrayal, and then there's rules. It's like D&D, but then not really much of Dungeons and Dragons. It's just I mean I have a list of like what board games that I have in my cart. Burrito Dodgeball. Burrito Dodgeball is like I don't know how you play it because I have not bought it. But one thing that I get is that it involves cards, but then when somehow when your turn uh, requires you to throw a burrito, then it's dodgeball time. And hell yeah, that is fun. It's just a board game, yet somehow you can play dodgeball. I mean, it's just a burrito, like a very soft toy. So that is one game. And second is Avalon. I used to play this during uni with group of friends. And that game is hella fun because somehow whenever I become the if you played werewolf game, then it's similar to that. Like if you're the werewolf, then your role is hidden from every single people, and there's a game master to see, like, oh, this guy is the game master. No, this guy is the werewolf. So every single night he will have to kill. And in Avalon, it's a wee bit different. Every single turn, like, uh, there's turns involved. Like for instance, person A, since it's person A's punya turn, he or she will have to choose this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy to go on a quest. And then the quest is just pretty much, since there's like 5 turns, if I'm not mistaken, I forgot, I haven't played the game for so long. That first turn, every single person that they have to, like, every person in that turn will have to put up a success card, meaning that because the main goal of that game, the good will have to pass all the quests. And since you do not know who is the bad guy, then if there is one fail card, then definitely there is indeed the bad guy. I mean, the bad role is, like, there's a lot. There's Morgana, whatever. The setting of the game Avalon is pretty much, there's Merlin and Morgana. Then so you know, like, what the roles are, and you need to, like, the good ones need to find out who is bad the bad ones, and the bad ones need to hide their identity. It's like very much like a werewolf game, but then the probability of you to find in that game is very fun, because not only that you can deceive people, but at the same time you will be like, there's a lot of betrayal. I did not do this or something. It's fun in a way. If you have, like, if you're interested, probably after. I mean, I could just buy it, can? But then no, cannot. There's no Avalon Online. Shit. But anyways, what are other games that I have? Other board games that I have in my knee. Secret Hitler, Exploding Kittens, Kakerlaken, Ghost Blitz, and even Shogi. And guess what the irony in this and whatever I'm talking about board games is that we are still in COVID, we're in pandemic and we cannot meet up with people. I mean, some people can, which I think, wow, lakan. But at the same time, lantak lakan. The irony is that I have these board games that I want to buy, but yet I did not purchase it yet, because one thing that I always think, who the hell am I going to play with? And that really made me felt like a wee bit depressed, like, oh shit. Man, I want the pandemic to end fast so that I can play tabletop board games fast also. I mean, there are, like, even if I do not, like, play or buy these board games, I can just go to a board game cafe. There's one in Sawijaya, there's one in near Sunway Pyramid. And yeah, there's a lot of tabletop board game cafes, which I want to go so bad, seriously. And yeah, that is number 2 of the weird thing. I mean, it's not even weird, it's just that irony kind of happening. The third one is that I have 5 guitars, acoustic guitars. And 5 of those I only use one. And those, like, these guitars are not mine, it's my late dad's. And I always, like, try to say, my mom, can we just sell the guitars? And then she's like, no, it's precious. It's because some of it is very old, not very old. There's, like, the ones that are not is discontinued, the guitar model. Yeah. And that is one thing. And that is a very short, weird thing that I can explain. Yeah, I have 5 acoustic guitars and I only play one. Two. One with the nylon string and the one that have like normal strings. And next, what's weird? What are the weird things that I do that people don't really do? I wear sweaters in Malaysia. Now, even if I do say that I wear sweater in Malaysia, you can feel how hot it feels and the question that I always get from people, especially people who just knew me, aren't you hot in that sweater? It's Malaysia. And I always reply, nope, I'm cold. I feel cold. And yet, in real life, in reality, I'm sweating inside while fanning my shirt. But then it's just that I just love sweaters and hoodies. When I say sweating, I don't really sweat a lot because since I always wear sweaters outside to a point where I've grown accustomed to like just wearing sweaters on hot days. It's not really hot days because most of the time I'm always inside a mall and yeah, there's aircon. It's not like I wear sweaters and then play outside. I mean, that's stupid. I might get, pengsan out of panas. I don't know what kind of because I don't know. Yeah, I wear sweaters in the middle. Not really in the middle of Malaysia. I just wear sweaters in general. And yeah, especially when in Malaysia. Not really especially, just I just wear sweaters. Yeah. And I'll just I have a lot of things actually that I do. I mean, why do I even want to share the weird things that I do? It's just that I feel this, as I mentioned in the previous episode or two previous episode. Some topics are like choosing sweaters or pants or your favorite dress to wear outside, and same goes with me choosing topics. Today I don't feel like this lah. I want to wear green, I want to wear blue, but most of the time I wear purple or gray because it's nicer. Yeah. So I'll tell the last one since I'm going over time. I love to learn. I love learning new languages. I think I've mentioned this also in the previous episode, but right now I'm learning Mandarin. I can only say I can only introduce myself and then say, what do you want to eat? 什么? Ni 什么? That's those kind of, because I only learn from Duolingo and also I download some PDF books so that I can do some exercise, written exercise. And also, since I'm talking about languages, I know I can read Korean, I can understand Korean, but I have less confidence now when speaking in Korean because I have long abandoned that language and the culture. Not to offend people who loves Korean culture. No, no, no. Korean culture is very nice, even the language. But most of the time, I really love calligraphy. I love if I like, for instance, I know how to speak Japanese. I can write in Japanese. I can read in Japanese. But one thing that I've always been interested is calligraphy, and this is something that people. I mean, if you're very pro, then it seems like ala aku boleh buat. I can do that. I know which strokes starts first, and that is how I'm very interested in Chinese Japanese calligraphy. And speaking of languages, I always play Duolingo late night. And since if you have Duolingo, they have like two fiction language. It's the Star Trek punya Yeah, I only like started the very first, and then I just skip it, or like I stopped learning it because I was more interested in learning Mandarin and then finishing the whole Japanese language. Speaking other than Asian languages that I'm learning, because I know Korean, I know Japanese, I'm learning Mandarin now. And if you're listening to this, if you're like still jobless, or you're waiting to get a job, or you have like you choose to stay at home, it's okay, because why? Team jaga rumah. Ah. So before until the pandemic ends, until we are able to control COVID, the number of cases, while waiting for that, I advise every single one of you, or whoever's listening, to learn Mandarin, because if you're like a non-Mandarin speaker lah, if you're a non-Mandarin speaker, then learn Mandarin, because the probability of you getting accepted into a company is higher when you know Mandarin. And some people may say, I know Japanese, I know Korean, I know what are the weird Japan, not really weird culture, weird language that you think that it would put you up. One thing is that when you're looking for a job and then you put language in your CV, you need to fit their who their clients are. And most of the time, since if it's for instance my course or my study or my field, is that most companies are run by Chinese, and their clients are mostly Chinese. I mean, there's like Malay, there's India. I mean, we're Malaysia. There's a lot of culture, but most of the industry or whatever job you're seeking, it is mostly run by Chinese. So, if you're listening to this and you're like still, whether you have a job or not, I don't care. Just learn Mandarin. It's not only it's fun, or you can try to speak Mandarin if you're a Malay or Indian, and then your family does not speak Mandarin. Pretty much you can curse in Chinese, and your family won't even know. Ha ha ha. And that is one thing also what is weird about me. I learn all these languages and I don't even use it. Is it in conversations with like a proper Japanese or a proper Korean or a proper Chinese person. I always use it on my own or around people who don't even know the language. It's like, for instance, if I'm talking in this podcast and 多分日本語喋ったらみんなが本当にわかんない。I can like just use Japanese for the sake of not anyone understanding what I'm saying. And that is another weird thing that I think I have. Like, what's the purpose of learning language when you do not want to converse with people? I just use it as if it's a cryptic language whenever I'm around people. To a point where, since I know like Korean and Japanese, I always mix both language for the sake of making it more cryptic. Cause yeah, I mean, this mixing Korean and Japanese is not really rare. There are people who do it, and I want to be like, hey, I'm able to do that. Also, can we talk like that in Korean and Japanese mix? Which is irony, because politically they are not really me, but then socially they can be okay. I know that's just something that I just won't go into. So yes, I think that is pretty much it. And finally, I have finished the goddamn challenge. 7 days, 7 episode in 7 days, a 7 episode in 7 day podcast challenge. I have finished it. Yay! Congratulations all. Now what are you going to do? I'm going to release weekly episode, not really weekly, 5 episodes per week, starting on Monday, since tomorrow is what day? Tomorrow is Sunday, and pretty much I won't release anything. I won't release an episode because I need to prepare more and just rest a bit so that I can think and not be rushed. Yeah, that is my plan for Thoughts and Knots podcast. So 지금까지ゾイモリでした。バイバイ。